All right, let's talk about something that sounds almost impossible right now. In a world of high interest rates, what if you could just sidestep all of that and take over someone's amazing low rate mortgage from a few years back? I know, it sounds a little too good to be true, but it's a real thing. It's called a mortgage transfer, and we're going to break down exactly how it works. So here's what we're going to cover. First up, what even is a mortgage takeover? Then we'll get into the good stuff. Who really benefits from this? After that, we have to talk about the one big thing that stops most people, this little thing called the due on sale clause. But don't worry, we'll show you the specific times you can get around it. And to wrap up, we'll look at other options if a transfer just isn't in the cards. So let's just get right to it. The question that's probably why you're here. Could you really just step into someone else's mortgage with, say, a 3% interest rate in today's market? Well, the short answer is sometimes. And figuring out that sometimes can be an absolute game changer, whether you're looking to buy or sell. Okay, so first up, the mortgage takeover explained. Before we get into on the pros and cons, let's just get on the same page about what it actually means to step into someone else's loan. A transfer of mortgage is pretty much what it says on the tin. You're basically taking an existing mortgage with its interest rate, its terms, the whole shebang, and just handing it over to someone new. The key thing here is that nothing changes about the loan itself. Same low rate, same payment schedule. The only thing that's different is who's paying it. So how does this actually happen? Well, it's kind of a three-step dance. First, and this is the big one, you have to find a mortgage that's even allowed to be transferred. We call these assumable loans. Second, the new person can't just walk in. They still have to qualify. The lender's going to check their credit, their income, all that stuff. And if they get the green light, step three, the transfer is done, and the new owner takes over the payments. Simple as that, in theory. All right, so that's the what and the how. But why would anyone bother? Well, let's talk about the benefits of a transfer, because this is where it gets really interesting. It can actually be a huge win-win for both buyers and sellers. And this is what I mean by a win-win. Look at it from the seller's perspective. If they're in a tough spot financially, this is a powerful way to avoid foreclosure. Plus, having an assumable low-rate mortgage makes their home way more attractive to buyers. Then, for the buyer, come on, the perks are huge. You get to lock in a killer interest rate from years ago, and you might even dodge some of the usual closing costs. It's a fantastic deal all around. I mean, this quote really hits the nail on the head. A transfer could let you take advantage of way lower interest rates. Think about it. When current rates are hitting 6-7% or more, being able to take over a loan from a few years ago that's at, say, 3%, that's not just a small savings. That is a massive, life-changing amount of money over 30 years. Okay, so if this is so great, why isn't everybody doing it? Yeah, you knew there had to be a catch, right? Well, there is, and it's a big one. Let's talk about the due on sale clause. This is the major roadblock to a transfer. Yep. The big catch. This is the clause that lenders slip into most contracts to make sure this awesome deal doesn't happen. It's called the due on sale clause, and what it means is exactly what it sounds like. The moment you sell the property, the entire loan balance is due, immediately, in full. So you can't just pass the loan on, you have to pay it all off, which forces the new buyer to get a brand new loan at today's not-so-great rates. It's the bank's ultimate tool to shut these transfers down. So that clause is basically a big lock on the door. But that doesn't mean there aren't a few keys floating around. So when can you transfer a mortgage? Let's talk about finding the keys to that lock. Okay, the biggest key is the type of loan you have. Generally speaking, government-backed loans are your best bet. We're talking FHA loans, VA loans, USDA loans. A lot of these are designed to be assumable. But the vast majority of loans out there, your conventional loans from Fannie Mae or Freddie Mac, yeah, those almost always have that due on sale clause baked right in, making them non-starters. But wait, there's another key. Even if you have a conventional loan, there's a legal exception. It's a federal law from 1982 called the Garn-St. Germain Act. And this law basically tells lenders, nope, in certain situations, you are not allowed to enforce that due on sale clause. So what are these magic situations? Well, they're mostly about keeping property in the family. Like if you inherit a house when a relative passes away, or if a house is transferred to a spouse or child. Another big one is during a divorce, when the property goes from one spouse to the other, or even if you're just moving the property into your own living trust. In these specific cases, federal law overrides the contract and the lender has to let the transfer happen. Okay, let's be real for a second. For a lot of folks, their mortgage just isn't going to be assumable. So, what do you do then? Let's explore some other options if a transfer isn't in the cards for you.
Don't despair. You still have some moves you can make to avoid foreclosure. First, you can always try talking to your lender. See if you can negotiate a new payment plan. You could also ask for a forbearance, which is basically hitting the pause button on your payments for a little while. And of course, there's always the option to just sell the house and use the money to pay off the loan.
Now, you might hear people whisper about something called an unofficial transfer. I gotta warn you, this is sketchy. It's not a real legal thing. It's basically where the original owner keeps the mortgage in their name and someone else just pays them under the table. It is super risky with zero legal protection for anyone involved. Seriously, just be very, very careful with that idea. And one more thing we need to make crystal clear. A lot of people wonder this. Can't I just add a co-borrower to my existing mortgage? The answer is a hard no. You can't do that. The only way to add someone is to refinance the entire loan. And refinancing means say goodbye to your old low rate and hello to a brand new one at today's prices. So, what's the bottom line here? It all comes down to this. Your power lies in understanding your specific mortgage agreement. The answer isn't on the internet. It's not with a friend. It's sitting in the paperwork you signed. Reading that fine print is absolutely the most important thing you can do. And that really leaves us with one final question for you to think about. After everything we've talked about, is your mortgage more flexible than you think? It's worth a look, because the answer could open up a door you didn't even know was there.